Hey guys, welcome back. It's your girl Toya T, and this is my recap and review of Insecure's Season 2, Episode 7, Hella Disrespectful. Now, of course, as I've been doing it for the last 7 weeks, six, 7 episodes, we got to start off with the wind down. Today, I decided to make something extra crunk because this episode was extra crunk. I mean, we saw our girl Issa throwing back whiskey straight, and so I have myself some orange juice and some 100 proof Smirnoff vodka with some raspberries in here. So let's start off this wind down right now. Ooh, when I finish this, I'm gonna be drunk. Just like Issa. Anyway, so the episode starts off with Issa giving a rundown to Molly about what happened with Daniel. I guess it's the day after, and I again cannot understand why she's so mad. She's like, he disrespected me. I was trying to show him that he was special, and then he went and he embarrassed me like that. And I'm like, again, you gave him head to make him feel like he was special. Do you know what happens when you give a man fellatio and he says that it feels so good that he's about to come? He's going to come. And so that I would see as a, not a disrespect, but a good job, a thumbs up, because you don't want to be embarrassed. Shit, don't be like me who have somebody, fall asleep on your ass while you're doing that act, and then have to profusely apologize to you for falling asleep saying that he was drunk. But I just felt like a whole damn fool. But anyway, we still talking about Issa. Molly, being the good friend that she is, again, that would not have been me. I guess I would have thrown in the, yeah, girl, we gonna get him. She was like, yeah, we gonna put we gonna get a water gun and put some eggs and some water in it and shake it up real good and then just spray him in the face with some egg cum. And I just could not get it. I mean, again, if you had just continued to have sex with him after, we wouldn't have this tit for tat going on here, because very much when you done with him, he go down there and then we both got cum on our face. I mean, shit, she might be special. She might squirt. Okay, that was a little bit too much. But anyway, Molly's trying to help her out, and Issa's just like, still so upset. And I don't think it really has anything to do with what Daniel did. I think she just is starting to finally break down from all of these different hits that she's been taking, and she takes a whole bunch more throughout this episode. But just think about it, like, she's fighting with Frida at work. She her car is messed up. She broke up with Lawrence, and Lawrence said he's done with her, and she got dissed by Neighbor Bay, Latino Bay, and now by Bebe. By Daniel Bay. And so I think this is just all of it like accumulating on her, and her really just kind of setting it in, and that I don't think it has really anything to do with what Daniel did. I think she's just frustrated. And as a Cancer, I know about being moody. I know about being one mood or the other, but in this case, I don't think it has anything to do with him. So Molly does, use this moment to call Malibu, which is their keyword for calling truth. And she said, Malibu, I'm actually still sleeping around with Dro. And Issa's just like, I can't believe you're doing this. I thought it was a one and done. And she's like, yeah, it was more like 17 and done. And, Issa points out what I said before, like, yeah, it's all good and dandy to have sex with somebody who is in an open marriage, but when you're the third person in that situation and you know that person, so it's not just like, oh, we just meet up and have sex, but we actually have mutual friends, we'll probably see each other, I'll probably see you with your wife, it becomes a lot difficult. And Issa asked the question that I wanted to hear, is that, what about you? Like, we know that you are personally looking for a relationship, and so what do you get out of being the third in this open marriage? How does this work out? Like, you're not going to get a ring from this. He's not going to become a polygamist. He said his marriage is open, not that he was looking for a second wife. And so if you want that ring and you want a relationship, this is not what you're going to get from him. You're going to get companionship and sex when he's available, but only when he's available, when he's not with his wife. So we see later how that turns out. Let's just go along with Molly. So we see that I thought the hotel room she was in was the hotel room she was in with Dro, but it turns out that she's in the hotel room in Chicago, and because we see, oh my gosh, I really want to remember Little Rel's name in this show, but her homeboy, that's the lawyer in Chicago, is driving her around, and he gives her a little gift of some gourmet popcorn that, you know, was ranch and caramel crisp something that did not sound good to me, but you know, apparently she likes it, and he's kind of like flirting with her. And I think I said that I thought that it might go somewhere with him, mainly because I know, like, for me, that I'm at my best when I'm not interested in somebody. Like, I'm funny, I'm like charismatic, I don't care, and I find myself in situations where people that I'm not interested in, like a friend that I've completely friend zoned, is all of a sudden like making moves, and I don't realize that I come off as someone that that when I'm not trying, that it's more attractive. And I think in this way too for Molly, that she's not trying to attract him, but he's really attracted by, you know, how smart she is, and he's asking her about this this meeting that she's having with the partners at her firm. He called it the white boy meeting, where she would, you know, present what she's doing, make her case to either be promoted or to get a salary increase. And so she tells him it's the next day, and he told her, like, you know, it's gonna be great, like, you know, they know what they got. And she's like, what I got? She's like, you know what you got. And so I like that he has confidence with her, and it's still like a cute flirting thing. And he also mentioned that he's going to be in LA, I think, the next week, and he wants her to take him out around the town. And at first I thought she was going to curve him, but she said, okay. Okay, and I don't think it was a okay, like, okay, how am I gonna get the hell out of this? But like, okay, we can kick it, and so that was nice to see. So we see Issa, she's still on the bus. She's still on the bus. And so she is on the bus going to work, and who does she run into again but the young Latino boy from East of 41st Street High School, the one that stole the food. And she sees him again, but this time the only open seat is the one next to him. He has his book back on, and so he moves it, you know, because she kept like looking like, you gonna let me sit down. And she actually sparks up a conversation with him after she realizes that he is actually trying to prep for the PSATs. He actually has a prep book, and she tells him, like, you know, we got y'all, like, offers PSAT tutoring if you are interested. And he lets her know, which shows that Frida was kind of right about Mr. Gaines, that he thought that the program was full, because he asked Mr. Gaines about joining the program, because I guess once they noticed that other kids had joined and that it was actually helping other kids, that they wanted to join too. And Mr. Gaines told him and his friends that it was full, and so they just, believed him, because he's the administrator, he's an adult. And so Issa finally sees what Frida's talking about, and how Mr. Gaines is actually really toxic for this school, and particularly towards the majority Latino population that is at this school. And so it actually turns out to be something that helps Issa realize that she was wrong. And so when she gets to work, she actually puts up together a program to better reach out to these Latino students, to increase their diversity in their student population and how they get them. And she brings this to Frida, who is really cold to her at first, but once she realizes that she had the same ideas to kind of get the Latino kids involved too, she softens up, and she is no longer mad at Issa. And Issa, she actually asked her what brought about this change of heart, and she told her, like, she was kind of speaking to her like they were in some kind of relationship, which it is a relationship. It's her work friend. And she tells her, like, I was in a hard place, I was confused, I wasn't acting myself, which is all true things, but I wanted her to come out and just say, like, I was wrong and you were right. Which she does say. She says, you know what, after all that, you were right. And Frida takes it, and she's like, you know what, this is great. And so that is all resolved. We won't see Frida trying to get Issa fired, so at least we know that at the end of this season that she should still have her job. So that is one good thing. She still got a job, and she's actually happy with her work relationship again with Frida now. you know, taking that on, with now Frida now forgiving her and them now being on the same page. So that's great. We eventually do see them at the school where they're like handing out flyers to different kids as they're getting on the buses. And Frida sees Mr. Gaines and she actually confronts him and says, hey, you know, I don't know if I misrepresented myself before about this whole, you know, how like what the point of this program is, and that it's for all students, and then I made you feel like maybe I wasn't about you know, inclusivity. And Mr. Gaines is like, what, I thought we had an understanding, like what are you doing here, like what are you on some all lives matter stuff now? And then Frida jumps in and is like, no. And he gave her a look like, white girl, if you don't shut the fuck up, no one asked you to be in this conversation. Like, he gave her that look. That's a good actor, because I was even starting to hate Mr. Gaines. And she was telling him, like, no, like, you know, I think we need to be able to be representative of all the students that are here. And, you know, Issa's like, yeah, you know, that's what I think. It's not about all lives matter. Like, we should just, you know, like, you are leaving out to the Latino children in this school. And Mr. Gaines turns around and looks like he was mad and then cracks a joke and says, like, ain't nobody dead here, and walks off. And Frida and Issa look at each other like, my gosh. So we see Issa at home and she gets a text message. She's like, she's just hanging out at home. I love that she's wearing a pink Cameron shirt, man. I kind of wanted to get one after seeing it. But we see that she's chilling at home and she's on her laptop, and she gets a text message from Tiffany asking her if she was coming to Derek's birthday dinner. And Issa's like, yeah, I'm coming. And then of course Tiffany at least gave her the heads up and said, like, you know, are you okay with Lawrence coming? Like, you know, just let you know. Issa seems a bit surprised by this, takes a actual screenshot of the text message that Tiffany sent her, which was what I would do. I screenshot shit and send it to my friends all the time, just to cut, you know, just cut to the point. And so she takes a screenshot, sends it to Molly, and asks her, did you know that Lawrence was coming to Derek's birthday party? Molly's like, of course I didn't know, but because I would have told you, but you know, are you gonna do you though? And Issa decides, like, is trying to figure out what to do. She actually is on her Facebook page. She goes to look up Lawrence's page to do some, you know, some Facebook stalking, because I'm guessing she's trying to see if he's still with Tasha or not. And she tries to look him up, and it comes up with nothing can be found for Lawrence Walker. And I was like, oh shit, he fucking blocked you. Whew. Lawrence got some motherfucking balls. And I know he blocked her because he was the one looking on her, like, stalking on her page. So he was trying to stop himself from looking at her page. But I was just like, that is so embarrassing and so cool. So being blocked by Lawrence really just threw her off, and she ends up responding to, and she ends up doing one of her lovely rap montages in the bathroom mirror, talking about, like, how dare you get your pussy ass fingers to even block me, like, who do you think you are, Lawrence? And so she's really angry, and she tells Tiffany, you know what, I'm cool, invite him. And so we see that something is going to happen through that, but at least she had the opportunity to say no. Like, I'd prefer if you didn't invite Lawrence, especially since he knows y'all through me. And so, but she didn't. She's trying to take the high road. But I did not see this turning out to be a good idea. And so, as for Molly, she is back in LA, and we see that Dro is over her apartment. He's helping her bring in some groceries, and he mentions that him and Candace have also been invited to Derek's birthday party. And Molly realizes, like, oh shit, like, Candace is gonna be there. This is the first time I'm gonna see Candace since we started doing this. And he's like, well, are you okay? She's like, you know, I haven't seen her since we started. And he tries to reassure her, like, you know, like, our stuff is new, and, you know, just to let you know that I'm here and we're still good. And he kind of, you know, pulls the, you know, sweet talk behind her ear, you know, dick in her back, because he's too tall for his dick to be on her butt. Okay, so yeah, so he pulls that whole move and kind of digmatizes her into, you know, being okay with it. And so it becomes a little bit more interesting once we actually get to the party. You see Molly actually at work, and she is making her presentation to her bosses about, like, you know, these clients that she's working with, how she's bringing in revenue, that she is here for the partners and is willing to, you know, to take on new cases and to help out any associate that needs help. And of course, the 3 partners there are all 3 white men. Not of course, but I mean, we were kind of getting that idea from the fact that this woman, the white woman who moved to Chicago, was being pushed out because of, they were making her feel that the things that she thought was important wasn't important. And so, and also the fact that the lazy ass white dude at her job makes more money than her. I was kind of getting the idea that it was all white men that ran the company, ran the law firm. And it was right, they're all looking at her, they're in a triangle looking at her like, that's good, but you know, we usually don't listen to you know, review people's promotions and stuff at this time. Like, this is not even close. This is halfway through to your yearly review. And she mentions, like, you know, I think you guys are, you know, innovative, and you promoted 2 other people to partner before their review was up. So I thought I would just, you know, present my case. And they politely, not so politely, turn her down and say, well, you know, we'll keep this in mind when your review comes up next year. And I was just like, damn. And she had that face, like, trying to still keep a good, like, face, like, okay, I see you, but still you can tell she was disappointed. But don't count on Molly, because Molly seems to, she has figured out where she's going with this job situation. And so I also see Lawrence at his job, and he's coming in, and his co-workers are all sitting around. I guess this before a staff meeting, and you know, one of the guys is asking, like, oh, you were missed at whatever event over the weekend, and he was like, well, I'm allergic to whatever they were trying to eat, and I just hung out at home. And the dude was like, well, I heard Aparna, I think that's her name, the girl that, you know, was giving him the advice about the Woot Woot app that never was and never will be. And so we find out that they hung out, and she told them, like, oh, we hung out, went to this theater where the seats move. And so the other co-workers started asking, like, are y'all dating, or is this a thing? And they were like, he was like, nah, we just hanging out. And Aparna's like, yeah, we're just hanging out. And I was just like, when did I miss this? Like, when did they start dating and fucking? Like, it's just because he was giving her a look like, you told him? And I just could not believe it. Like, I thought it would go that way, but I didn't see it going that way that quickly. And so we see him start talking to her and asking her, like, you know, sorry about that. I just, you know, have, you know, bad experiences of rushing into things, and I really just want to make sure everything's clear and everything goes slowly. And she's like playing around with him, like, oh my gosh, like, you know, it's not that serious. And so she you know lets him know that she's cool with it. I really just got to see how awkward that Lawrence also is. Like, not only is Issa insecure and awkward, but Lawrence is also insecure and awkward. Like, he's just really, like, he doesn't know how to function outside of relationship with Issa, because he's just making all the wrong moves with Tasha, from the stripper that he thought that liked him, to the 2 girls that had the threesome with him that he thought that he was the man at, and they let him know that he was just a penis, he was just a phallus attached to a man, and that he wasn't important to them. And now with Aparna, she kind of comes off as really cool, like, yeah, you know, whatever, like, we break up, we don't break up, we go out, we don't go out, doesn't really matter. And he's just like, you know, like, really seems like he's trying to figure things out. And they were supposed to have drinks, and then he realizes that he has to go to Derek's dinner, and it's the same day that they're supposed to have drinks. And then also Issa's gonna be there because Tiffany lets him know. And that Issa's also going to be there because Tiffany lets him know. And he tells a partner, and she's like, well, you know, we can have drinks another day. And she, like, again, she's being real cool and flexible with him. And he's like, well, I don't know, like, you know, my ex is going to be there. And she's like, I can come with you if it makes it easier. And so he decides to bring a partner with him, which he just said that he handled things wrong in the past, and that he didn't want to rush into things and push things faster than they need to be. But then he goes and asks Aparna to go to a friend's dinner with him that he knows his ex is at. Now that is some shady ass, fucked up, stupid ass shit that I cannot stand about some males that I know, some that I love dearly, some that I've loved, that you just they don't think about the repercussions of their actions. And so just knew it was gonna be a shit show, because he should have just went without her and said, like, you know, I'll meet you after the dinner, or I'll meet you the next day, you know, just to be safe, just so that he didn't show up to what is essentially friends that he made through his relationship with Issa, and knowing Issa's there, and come up with some new chick. Like, come on. And you still seem to have feelings for her because you got mad that you saw Daniel in her pictures, and you Facebook stalking her and had to block her so that you wouldn't Facebook stalk her. So obviously you still have feelings for her, and if you cared about her, you wouldn't do that bullshit. But again, Lawrence is a fuckboy. He is a fuckboy. He is a fuckboy. He is a fuckboy. I'm not saying he'll always be a fuckboy, but he's in that I'm a good guy fuckboy phase. My girl fucked me over, and now I'm going to be fucking around in other people and fucking up other people's lives. And then after I get through that phase, I'm going to be a greatest guy, greatest husband, greatest partner after that. And oh, I cannot stand him for that right now. Oh, gosh, I gotta take a drink. So anyway, let's get to the party. So Issa's getting ready for this party, but before she's like, you know, got a nice little outfit on, but as she's about ready to get ready to leave the house, she gets phone calls from Daniel. Daniel calls and he says, and she's like, what do you want? Feels real pissed, like she done. And he's like, well, you know, I'm so sorry. And she's like, you know, you really disrespect me. I don't know what was wrong with that. And it's me, like, you know, that you shouldn't have done that with me, because like we know each other, we have history. And he's like, well, you know, I thought you know, I just didn't expect it to be like that. I'm sorry. So even though, again, I don't think he has anything to be apologizing about, at least Daniel apologized. He seems sincere. He seems like he does care about Issa, because again, he did pick her up from her car accident. It had nothing to do with dicking her down. Like, he cared about her. Like, he actually cared about her to do that. And so we know he cares about her, even when he could have really treated her like shit when they were at the kiss and grind. He still, you know, gave her an opening and was trying, like, you know, come over here and don't be, you know, he was the one that broke down that barrier and tried to be nice to her. And I just don't understand why she's so mad. And again, I think it has nothing to do with him. I don't think it has anything to do with him. But he apologizes, like, will you forgive me? She decides to forgive him. He says, cool. I was like, okay, cool. And then he says something that just turns her. And again, that's why I knew it had nothing to do with him. Like, he's like, oh, so I guess now we're even because we both did fucked up shit. And she says, what? What do you mean? Like, this is tit for tat? Like, he's like, you know, like, you did this on purpose? So she's like, you did this on purpose to me? That, you know, you were trying to embarrass me? Like, you did this because on some revenge shit? And again, I'm like, what did he do? She makes it seem like he gave her herpes or gonorrhea or something. This is not an Usher Let It Burn situation, honey. He did not do anything that was not natural, that you did not ask for, that you weren't consenting in. Like, you know, like, don't act like this is kindergarten. You know, when you do things like that, that's gonna happen. And again, I don't understand why she's so mad at him. And she really did fuck him over when she freaking told him that he was an itch that she needed to scratch last season. And that was fucked up to say that shit to his face. But she tells him, like, you know what, fuck you, nigga, don't ever call me again. And she throws the phone. I was like, oh shit. So I think that's the end of Daniel. I think we want to see Daniel's sexy ass again. I guess there will not be a season 3 of sexy ass Daniel. I wish there was. I wish there was a way to incorporate him into the cast without him being involved with Issa, because I'd like to see him naked. Yes, I'd like to see him naked. Again, Daniel, call me. Team Daniel. Call me. All right. So we see that Issa's going to the party with her brother. She gets into the car because she ain't got no car. She slams his door. He's like, what's wrong? She said, niggas. I was like, he must know her very well not to ask anything past that. And so they, you know, we see the party. It is at this restaurant, and it seems like they have rented out the space on like the loft floor, the second floor of this restaurant, where they have a long table so they can have a little private, like they have their own bar. They have personalized drinks. They have the Derek and the Tiffany drinks, which I thought was really cute. And tables all set up. There's place cards with people's names on them. And we see, you know, Molly's talking to Tiffany and her boo, and, you know, the one that was finger popping her after the kiss and grind. And they're still going strong. They seem to really like each other. Anyway, we see that Dro and Candace come in, and Molly is immediately uncomfortable. Of course, before I can go there, Dro actually says to her in Spanish that she's wearing his favorite dress, which I'm like, when did you have time to have a favorite dress of Molly's? Okay. And you say it in Spanish. Why? Because your wife don't speak Spanish? Like, what is up with here? What's up with this covert shit? Which I was on Dro's side, and I was on the side of that Dro actually is in an open marriage, but I don't understand all the secrecy. Like, it just seems like it would have been something that they had a conversation about, but I just, there's no resolution, and there's no, by the end of this episode, there's no resolution and no answer to whether or not this was actually an open marriage or if he was just stepping out on his wife. But Candace comes up, gives Molly a hug. It's really awkward. She's like, oh, you know, like, really, like, you know, awkward on both sides. Molly actually spills her drink on Candace, and Dro goes to get her another glass. And it gives Molly and Candace a chance to just talk. And Candace maybe, okay, so let me take this back. Maybe Candace does know, because she looks hella awkward around her. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, this is awkward. You fucking my husband. I know it. Like, shit, like, it looks like something like he would like that you're wearing, like, you know. But she makes a joke about how Candace makes a joke about how the bartender looks like Cory Booker, which is the politician from New Jersey. And it really breaks the ice with Molly, and we see them laughing. All right. So it's time to sit down. This is where it gets really, starts to get sticky. It's time to sit down, and of course Candace and Dro sitting next to each other. Molly tries to sit in the seat on the other side of Dro. So it'll be Candace, Dro, and then Molly. And Tiffany lets her know that there are place cards and that she came up with her own calligraphy, not, you know, for no other reason than to have people sit at the seats that they're supposed to sit in. So Molly has to move on the other end of the table. Around this time, we see Issa and her brother show up, and he asks her if she's gonna start any shit with Lawrence, and she says, I'm not gonna do nothing, like, you know, it's Derek's birthday. When they get upstairs, the waiter, you know, offers them drinks, and the brother takes 2 of the drinks, the Tiffany and the Derek, and Issa says, I'll take a club soda, because, you know, apparently she wanted to be sober for this. Her brother looks at her, and I was like, oh shit. So they sit down. It turns out that Molly is sitting next to Issa's brother, and Issa's sitting on the other side of her brother. So they're at the end of the table. She says hey to Molly. She says hey back, and you can tell it's kind of tense between the two of them. And her brother, Issa's brother, asks like, what's going on with y'all? And Issa lets her know, like, you know, she grown. Because at the beginning of the episode, I mentioned that they both decided to kind of do them. That's what Molly said. Like, you know, when Issa tried to talk shit about her fucking with Dro still, and Molly brought back at her that you know, I didn't say nothing when you were hoeing for these last couple months. And Issa points out that at least she knew what she was getting into, and Molly doesn't. Molly decided to say, you know what, chick, how about you do you and I do me? And so they had decided to kind of just keep out of each other's business when it comes to this situation. And so that's the tense situation that we have here, especially since when Molly comes in and she sees that Candace and Dro are here, she asks Molly, is she good? Like, are you good? And so Molly says she fine. And so I was like, okay. So anyways, before the dinner party can really get popping, of course, who shows up but Lawrence and Aparna. And Kelly had the right freaking response. The response I would have had, and I had to like rewind because I said the same thing. She said, no, this nigga didn't. Because he showed up at this thing late and didn't know it was a sit down thing. And so he also didn't tell, of course, Tiffany that there was going to be an extra person. And so there's not enough seats for her. Tiffany's going through like mega Barbie like overload, trying to figure out how to work this out. They end up getting an extra seat and asking people to move down so Aparna and Lawrence can sit at the other end of the table, opposite from, on the opposite end from Issa. So they got a whole table length between them, and Issa is just looking at him, and you can tell the hurt on her face. She's looking at him. She's giving him the like, I know you fucking didn't just do this shit, and the damn he looked good, and I fucking hate him, and I fucking hate my life. And as soon as they sat down, she asked the waiter for a whiskey. And that's when I knew shit was going to get popping, because I've been in situations like that at dinner parties, at birthday dinner parties of mutual friends, where me and an ex and his new girl or his ex or whoever was also sitting at the table, and let me tell you this, I drank all of the liquor, being really drunk, and end up making drunk freaking videos in your car and crying yourself to sleep, and then realizing like, What the fuck was I thinking? But anyway, that's just me. Anyway, so we see that Aparna and Lawrence look real comfy over there, and she introduced, like, you know, Lawrence introduces her, and she says, you can call me the random chick that, you know, came to Derek's party. Never, you know, Tiffany and Derek laugh, and the party continues. They have a little montage of people eating, people drinking, people laughing, and the whole time, like, Issa is mean mugging over at Lawrence and Aparna, and she's like watching him like be, like, you know, flirty with her and, you know, touching her and stuff, and she's just getting madder and madder, and she's just drinking and drinking. And then we actually get a point where a couple that is right next to where Lawrence and Aparna are sitting asks, you know, just making small talk, how do you know, Derek and Tiffany? And he's like, you know, we're longtime friends. That's what, you know, Lawrence says. And the guy's like trying to pry into it, like, did you grow up together? He's like, no, they're actually, you know, friends I met through my ex. And they were like, oh, you're still friends with your ex? And it seems like they didn't realize that his ex was Issa, because he looks over at Issa, and the girl of the couple gets real loud and says, oh, you mean Issa? And of course Issa heard it, and it was just like, and she's looking like, what the fuck are they saying about me? Like, why did she yell my name so loud? Like, what the fuck is going on? Right at that moment, you have Tiffany making a toast to her man and talking about how much she loves him, and you can tell that was the breaking point for Issa. She sees this happy couple being happy together. She sees Lawrence filling up and, you know, gently caressing Aparna's arm, and she takes a full swig of her whiskey and leaves. Molly gives Lawrence the, you better go fucking get her because you know this is your fault look. And he actually does go off and goes and tries to, you know, talk to Issa. She's outside. She has her phone. It looks like she was like waiting for an Uber, but she came with her brother, so I don't know what she was doing. But whatever, he tries to apologize, say, like, you know, I didn't know it was a sit down thing. I wouldn't have brought a partner if I knew. And she just cuts to the fucking shit and tells him, like, you know what, you are fucking disrespectful as hell. How dare you? You just couldn't wait to fucking put your new chick and, you know, in front of my face, in front of my friends, and embarrass me. And he's trying to tell her, like, this is a full-on fight. And this is the fight I feel like they needed to have, but they didn't have. And this is when I started to hate fucking Lawrence. This is at the end of this. After the show, I tweeted I fucking hate Lawrence. I officially hate Lawrence. Team Lawrence, you can come after me. I don't fucking care. I fucking hate him right now. I might be projecting, but I fucking hate Lawrence. And so, and you'll see why. And so he's trying to tell her, like, you know, what are you talking about? Like, you know, Issa brings up the fact, like, you did all this and you blocked me on Facebook. How dare you? Like, you being so fucking petty and shit. And he's like, you know, I blocked you because, you know, I've seen pictures of you and that nigga that you fucked while we were together. And Issa's like, wait a second, like, how did you see that? Like, I didn't post no pictures of him. He's like, I don't fucking care who posted the pictures. Like, are you still fucking him? And it's like, first of all, Lawrence, you broke up with Issa. You decided you want to get back with her, so you ain't got no right to be asking no fucking questions. She fucking Daniel and I. And so she told him that. It's like, why do you fucking care? Like, it's none of your business. And he's like, he took that as a, of course you still are, because she didn't say no. Again, none of his business. And so she comes back at him like, oh, you think that you the only you're the only clean one here. How dare you go around when I took care of you for 2 years while you were depressed, working on that Woot Woot app, and you fucking some chick, you fucked me and then fucking some chick from your bank. And Lawrence comes back and says, well, that's better than, Daniel and his fake producer, and you being his producer wannabe groupie. And he's like, I bet you that dude is real gentleman-like. And it's just like so many digs. Like, he's like he called Issa a groupie. He was saying that like pretty much calling her a hoe the whole time. Like, you fucking around. How to know how many people were you fucking when we were together? And when she finally tells him, like, like, I supported your depressed ass when you working on Woo Woo, and I don't see no Woo Woo anywhere. I don't see no Woo Woo on my phone. Like, what's going on? At least Daniel had more things going on than you do. And he puts out, like, like, she's like, how much time did you spend on that? And he's like, probably as much time as you spent hoeing. And I said, what? This is why I fucking hate Lawrence. I fucking hate him. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, and fuck you, Lawrence. And so it ends there. Issa looks visibly hurt because he just said, like, this is what dudes like to do, like to end things off, like calling women hoes and bitches and stuff. Like, he said, you a hoe. And to hear someone that you love call you a hoe, that just hurts. Especially when you know that you just did one thing and he went and called her a hoe for this one indiscretion without even trying to like talk things through, when she like he also did shit wrong too that really messed up the relationship that even Derek said to him. And so at this point, the conversation ends because a partner comes out and she, you know, has Lawrence's coat and she said, and he said, let's go. And they leave. They walk down the street and he's holding her hand. I would have thrown something at his ass. I probably would have thrown my purse. Then I had to go pick that shit up. And so, yeah. So Molly follows Dro to the bathroom. She catches him and she's like, you know what, this is just really weird for me. And this is so awkward. And you and Candace are so great together. And he was like, well, you know, we got something good together too. And gets her again with them damn freaking whispers in the fucking ear and the touch on the nape of your back, like just on the crook of your back. Got her. Next thing we know, they fucking in the damn women's bathroom. Not in the stall, on the damn sink. There are 2 fucking stalls in that bathroom. Anybody could have walked into the bathroom at any time and seen them 2 fucking. They fucking, and Dro giving her that long, just awkward stroke, and she's just loving it. And at the end, he does something that snaps her out of it. That he says, you know, kisses her, he pulls his pants up and says, you know what, I'm gonna go out first and you come out a couple moments later, so that no one knows that they were together in the bathroom. And she realizes, like, this is not something that will never be public. This is something that will not go anywhere. And I think she finally realizes that she can't do this. And so she walks to the bathroom. Issa's there. Issa doesn't say anything. She fixes her dress. She fixes Molly's hair. Molly pulls the tag off of Issa's outfit, which was wrong because obviously Issa was planning to return that shit, and she said that to her. And they just kind of go on their way. We see that Molly calls her mom finally because she's finally seen that, you know, things aren't perfect. Like relationships are difficult and there's no fairy tale endings on anything. Like, you gotta, like, life is complicated. Life is something that you have to figure out for yourself, and sometimes things don't work out the way that you plan them to. And so she finally, you know, has that she's finally in that space where she can talk to her mom. She calls her, asks her, you know, told her that, you know, I need space. Her mother said, of course, I knew that. You know, you're my daughter. She understood that. Molly asked her, how did she forgive the dad? When did the hurt go away? And Molly's mother tells her, I don't think I ever really got over that hurt, but I do love this man. That's why I stayed, and he makes me happier more than he makes me hurt. And I think at that moment, Molly realizes that her situation with Dro hurts her more than it actually makes her feel good. And so when she gets home and Dro sends her a message asking if she wants to meet up on Thursday when he's back in town, she tells him that she's done. And so that's that. I hope the next episode we see Molly going to her therapist, because the next episode they show that she's actually, like, on the work front, going to interview with other firms so that her firm would know that she is in demand and that they would want to play ball and try to give her what she wants to stay. And so I hope with all of this growth that she's actually going to go back to her therapist to talk out all of these issues so that she can be a healthier, happier Molly. All right, for Issa. So Issa gets home. When Issa gets home, there's a note on her door. I thought it was another noise complaint, but no, it was a notice of rent increase. And Issa is already down and out after that whole argument with Lawrence. She crumples it up, throws it, and then looks at the wall that had the burn mark on it from that party from the first episode. She sees that there's still that burn mark on the ceiling, and she goes fucking crazy. Like, she's having the most cathartic kind of like wreck your shit up, but you shouldn't wreck your shit up because it's your shit kind of moment. She throws over everything. She throws off the bottles off tables. She throws tables over. She throws chairs over. She throws everything. I thought she was going to get a noise complaint for breaking all this stuff. She takes a bottle of wine and throws it at the wall. All kinds of stuff. And that's how the episode ends, with her wrecking her shit. She is done. She has hit her bottom point. As Khalees says on her beginning of her song, one of my favorite songs, Caught Out There, her first single, where she mentions, I don't know if you break, but I break. Like, I'm like, I break. Like, you may not break, but I break. There is a breaking point. That's where Issa is at the end. I hope it ends on a good note, because last season it did not. It ended with her crying on on the couch outside with Molly after Lawrence left and left his raggedy ass Best Buy shirt in the closet. He broke up with her, and so I hope it ends on a good note for her. This is it for my wind down for this episode. Next week I'm gonna have the biggest glass of wine because I'm gonna be so sad that this season is over. I just need 2 more episodes, but we only get 8. Gotta be thankful for what we got. And so I will see you guys next week for another wind down.